Hey guys, JCC2224 here, taking a look at my Transformers that I have on display in the JCC 2.0 studio. Transformers had the most prominent stuff in the studio, and the shelf you're looking at right now is the rotational shelf that will have different things on it throughout the life of the studio. Currently, I have it dedicated to movie Transformers. But in the studio, I made sure Transformers had as much space as possible. I put tons of Transformers in the studio, even though there's still, I want to say maybe 3, 4, 5 shelves outside of the studio that are entirely full of Transformers. It's pretty crazy how many I have, but they take up a lot of space, as you can see. Transformers take up tons of space, so I really try to give them lots of space in the studio. Right now you're looking at the only movie Transformers I have in here outside of the Last Night stuff, and that is the original Autobot team. Right here you have one of my favorite shelves in my whole room. Even when this was my bedroom, I actually kept this shelf almost entirely untouched. I only moved a few things around because I love this shelf to death. It's just layered perfectly. I love Transformers Cybertron. It's just fan-freaking-tastic. This shelf is just I'm ogling over it whenever I see the shelf. My eyes just grow so big because I love it so much. And then moving up, we have the original 1986 Transformers movie shelf. I really love this shelf too. As you can see, it's a very, very empty shelf, and it's not a shelf that's really going to get more figures on it unless the Transformers Classic shelf ends up getting a little too overflowed and I have to move some guys down here. However, you can see the main Autobots, you can see the Decepticons, I have the Armada Unicron in the middle, and I did decide to have an Optimus Prime in here because it's freaking Optimus Prime. And you can see the Combiner War Cyclonus in the back as the Armada. So that's a really, really cool shelf. I'm a huge, huge fan of that one. And then here, gotta have the Transformers Classics, gotta have the huge shelf dedicated to my favorite toy line. You can see here, this is the Arc Crew. That's the original Autobots from the 1984 debut of the Transformers show, and I love this little section. There's a few characters here, like that freaking Ratchet, that I would love an update of, but there's some that are just perfect, like Mirage. And then over here we have some Mini-Bots and Jetfire and the Aerial Bots, and I did kind of have the Superion and the Aerial Bots with Dion, Ryan Pax, and Alpha Trion intentionally. Up here we have the Giants, we have Fort Max and Skylinks on his shoulder, we have Metroplex and Optimus Prime in his hand. I love how that looks. And then going over here we have another Gestalt in Defensor. We have a few other Autobots from the 1985 series. We just have, plenty of Transformers. Plenty, plenty, plenty. Now, with Transformers Classics, there's a few characters that kind of skirt the line between, is it too obscure for my collection? Because sometimes I think they are, like Breakaway, the Chrome Dome repaint. I think he's just a little too obscure for the collection, so I decided not to get him. However, I do try to have as many of the prominent characters as possible. Like over here with the Decepticons, I have music label Soundwave, Fall of Cybertron Shockwave, which we really need a new Shockwave. Then we have all the Seekers here. It took me a long time to get all those Seekers. And then here we have the Takara Astro Train. There is my favorite figure of 2016, Bruticus. I love him to death. And then here we just have a few other of my favorite characters like Breakdown and Brawl. Then Six Shot. I love that Six Shot, and I personally cannot wait for Overlord. And then just a few other Decepticons like Blitzwing and Lugnut and Slipstream. And then we have Octane, Nemesis Prime, Sound Blaster. And that's pretty much the classic shelf. It's a really big and impressive shelf, and I just spent a lot of money to get a very, very big thing soon. So let's move over to the other shelves, because there's a lot here, and yeah, let's get into it. So here we have the Transformers animated stuff, and I'm pretty happy with this shelf. It's a little crowded because animated figures take up a lot of space. However, I'm generally pretty happy with it. I actually just started watching animated. I'm a little bit into the second season, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of the show. It's so funny how many toys I had before I even watched the show. However, the War and Fall of Cybertron games are absolutely fantastic, and the figures are even better. Well, not really for Fall of Cybertron, but you get my point. And here we have Beast Wars. I really tried to keep this collection as small as possible because while I do really enjoy the show, a lot of the toys are kinda iffy. And then over here we're moving on to Transformers Prime, the actual Transformers line that got me into collecting. And as you can see, I got most of them. I got most of them. And if you're wondering, a lot of other Prime figures are in another room, like freaking Arachnid. Yuck, I hate that thing. But let's look at good stuff. Let's look at First Edition Optimus Prime, First Edition Bumblebee, RID Ratchet. Let's look at actual good figures, because Prime had so many great stuff. And I just really wanted to celebrate the line with a very centerpiece shelf. As you can see, it's right above Transformers Classics. So yeah, looking at all this color, all these robots, it just really reminds me why I love Transformers in the first place, because, oh my god. Oh, I also love Soundwave. Soundwave is also my favorite Transformer, and I have a whole shelf dedicated to him in the studio. And as you can see, it's pretty crowded, because I have a lot of Soundwave stuff. However, I'm pretty happy with how the shelf turned out. You can see most of everything, you know, the smaller stuff in the front, the bigger stuff in the back. What you can see them way more than the previous shelf, so I'm really happy with the Soundwave shelf there. And then here we have the Masterpiece Transformers, the Wei Jiang Commander. That's fantastic. I love that figure. And then I was very, very selective with the Masterpieces I have. I have Optimus, Hot Rod, and Prowl, and then I have Soundwave, and can you even count that Megatron? And I have Thundercracker. I'm just trying to get my favorite characters in Masterpiece. And here, finally, the Optimus Prime shelf. Well, I do have some Rodimus Prime stuff on there too, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. They're both Primes, right? Just tons and tons of Optimus stuff. I will be doing a more detailed video on my Optimus Prime collection very shortly. Well, in a little bit. But that's pretty much it with the Transformers collection, guys. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at it. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, check my Facebook and Instagram page if you have a chance. Also, check out the Studio Tour playlist. I'll have other collections in that playlist. So that's pretty much it, guys. Have a good day, and as always, may the Force be with you. Bye.